What up, y'all? It's a rainy storm checking in. Goodness, it feels like forever since the last time I've actually recorded a video. But I am, for those of y'all that are just coming in for the first time, your cosmic root work astrologer specializing in Mars activations as well as North Node and South Node consultations. So if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can hit me up at arainystorm.wix.com/info, and you can find me on all social media at arainystorm. Oh my goodness, like there's so much I feel like I would want to catch y'all up on, but I think today, I know today what I really want to talk about is the nodal shift. The North Node moving into Aries and leaving Taurus, and the South Node moving into Libra and leaving Scorpio. And so I'm going to basically be doing like an all signs video. So from your rising sign, you can, kind of doing like a quick synopsis of like what specifically you might be experiencing over this transit that will be taking place from July 17th, 2023 to January 11th, 2025. So we got time, okay? But I think there's a couple of things that I did want to run down, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and make a separate video because it has been a minute since I've like done a full scale video here. And now I want to say before I kind of got a little irritable before I started this, only because as soon as I turn on this camera, I swear, now everybody want to be outside talking. And it was quiet. You could hear a pin drop. So I just want to go ahead and apologize ahead of time. My bad if you hear anything in the background. I'm not mad at people socializing and talking, but I was like, why all of a sudden y'all want to talk when I'm on my camera time? I don't understand. Anyway, as I was saying, I hope y'all like the look. The girls just took down the hair, so she had to style her up, We, getting back into this energy again, you know what I mean? But yeah, let's talk about it. So I'm personally excited for this transit. I feel like this Taurus Scorpio axis was a lot for everybody. I don't think it was like anything specific for whatever rising sign, whatever. I think it was just a lot because honestly, I feel like personally when the South Node is in Scorpio anywhere, shit, even the moon in Scorpio, blessed to my moon and Scorpio babies out there, it's intense. It's very, very, very intense. We're moving from this energy of like solidifying these new foundations, which is Taurus, really assessing like our material gains and things, Venusian things, finances, our economy, right? And then we go from that to the axis, which is the Scorpio energy of like exposing the stuff, right? Even one thing I want to make a comment about too, just moving out of this energy, is like the food industry, which now we're all questioning, well, can we even eat anything? Should we just eat air? Because at this point, child, it's really hard for us to know what is genetically modified and what's actually real, and for us to be able to digest and eat. But that's another story for another time. Not going to get into it. South Node in Scorpio, I just want you to really think about, and just the North Node in Taurus, think about like what old limiting beliefs that you've had to remove yourself and move away from actually during this transit. Like what are some of the things that you maybe held on so tightly that no longer stood in this particular transit and transformational period? Okay, so we're gonna move on from that. If you do have any comments that you want to drop in the chat, anything that you want to talk about, maybe that you learned over this transit, what was going on and what houses it was going on and things, what was that like for you? And then maybe talk a little bit about that and how you're kind of taking it in from this experience. Now, I feel like we've already been feeling and experiencing this nodal shift. I think it's coming very strongly, and I think that it's not for nothing that it's coming in right on time. I think we all need a little bit of this Aryan energy TBH, okay? I feel like also too, Chiron will be, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Chiron and Aries, which will be transiting July 23rd to December 23rd, 2023. And what that's going to be like. So not only are we going to have the North Node in Aries, but we're also going to have Chiron in Aries. So this is the wounded healer. This is the warrior. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the warrior story as well. My own warrior story that I kind of gained from seeing this transit and what that means. Okay, so let's talk about it. For those of y'all that don't know what the North Node and South Node is, the North Node and South Node energy is what we talk about, like our karmic past and our destiny and the things in which we are coming into. In Vedic astrology, they usually refer to it as the dragon head and the dragon tail, Rahu and Ketu. Is actually what we would see it in Vedic astrology. In Western astrology, this is just the energy, like I said, it's more so past, what we're kind of moving away from, but also bringing into balance, and then future for what we're gearing towards. So we're gearing towards this North Node and Aries energy, which is the energy of like the Fool's journey, right? This is what I think of when I think of the Fool's card in tarot, like taking this new leap of faith, pioneering a new path, going forth in new charted territory in places that we've never been, right? It's the warrior. Also, I feel like it's the warrior coming home, especially with Chiron and Aries, but it's the warrior coming home to get reacclimated so the warrior can go back and do what the warrior came here to do. Okay, and like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about that story and what that looks like. So we're bringing this Libra, this cardinal fire Aries, and then this cardinal air Libra into balance, but then moving, like I said, towards this Aryan energy. Now, when we talk about the North Node Aries, we're talking about the I am energy. That is the motto of Aries, the I am. It's me first. It's me focused. It's me centered. And it's collectively, we're centering ourselves. It's about the journey of self. The journey of not only self-discovery, but I also feel like a lot of it is going to have to do, especially with Venus and Leo that's going to be transiting. Mercury just entered, as I record this, July 10th. Mercury just entered Leo as well, but we're going to be talking about like inner child wounding and healing. Since Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, this is the energy that you experienced when you came out the womb, and this is what you experienced when you were a child. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well, but this is like inner child wound, deep-seated healing, coming back to self, getting back into the groove of like the things that you used to love and the things that you used to do and the things that you used to listen to and the things that you used to be a part of. Like this is all of this energy encompassed, right? But how can I tap into my Martian energy in a healthy way? I think that a lot of times when we think of this Aryan energy, when we think of Mars, a lot of times we think of it in a debilitated sense, in the sense of this divine masculine energy that's very wounded, where it can be a little bit too, it can exert itself a little bit too much in different areas and things. So I think when I talk about like Mars activating and things like that, like how can I be an initiator in my own life? Right? Aries is the pioneer. It sets forth in things that it wants to do. It's like, okay, I want to do this thing. Boom, let me do it. Okay, I want to make this. Boom, I want to make it. I want to go on this trip. Boom, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't necessarily say that Aries is also always going to finish what it started, but it's definitely going to kickstart it. And I think using also this other energy, which is like Pluto and Capricorn, I know it's a little bit more destructive in a sense, but just having these energies to like really ground yourself in this material plane is also going to help as we're moving through this energy in the Aries. I'm just so happy to be back, y'all. Like, I'm just looking at myself on the camera. I'm like, girl, I have missed you. I know I did videos a couple months back, but I was just in a different space. I just feel like I'm just in a renewed sense of space. So I'm just happy to be back. I hope that y'all have, through this North Node, South Node, Taurus, Scorpio axis transit. I know it was a lot. I know it was very intense, especially after we went through the eclipses, child. But we back, okay? We're here. We made it, okay? Okay, so now Chiron and Aries. Like, I want to talk about this retrograde that we're going to be experiencing. Like I said, July 23rd through December 23rd. I think of it as, okay, this is the journey of this warrior that's been to war, which honestly, this past year and a half or so has felt like a little bit about a war. And not only like a physical war, but a spiritual warfare, I think, that we're all collectively going through. And we're all trying to like really processing things. But this warrior has been through it all, okay? I'm talking about through the guts of it, right? It had to go on this long journey through the forest, through the trees, you know, all types of stuff blowing up, the spots blowing up, everything. And this warrior literally, like, if you look at its shield, if you look at its armor and protective things, it's like, I mean, I'm talking about the shield is slashed across the, you know, the top. The armor is like falling off, like it's stuff that needs to be tweaked. You know what I'm saying? The warrior is like limping on his leg because it's like tired from walking all over the place and lost his horse. The damn sword is like shattered. Like it's a mess. Okay, so the warrior has to go home. The warrior is coming back home to its home base, to its familial base, so it can regroup and it can reset, so it can recharge, so its armory can be renewed, right? Because also this Martian energy rules your weapon of choice as well. And so this is what Chiron and Aries is going to be doing. It's going to be healing whatever part it's aspecting in your chart, and whatever house is playing in your chart. This is what Chiron is going to be doing. It's warrior healing energy, right? So for example, for me, I'm a Pisces rising in in Western astrology, and it's going to be going through my second house, which is like my sense of value, my self-worth, you know, my material gains. It's the Taurus house. So I've noticed within the past couple months that my sense of value, my sense of worth, the way I look and project my sense of value and worth into the world, it's completely different now. There's certain things that I'm not accepting. There's certain things that I'm not, like, it's just, I have a renewed sense of energy. Now I only have part of fortune in Aries. I don't have any, like, my personal planets in Aries. I guess you could say part of fortune is a personal, but I can definitely feel this energy quite strongly, actually. And also being a progressed Aries rising as well. So this energy is very pronounced. So for example, now, like I said, bringing up these old warrior runes, honestly, especially because Aries is a cardinal fire sign, it's fire, it might trigger a lot of like past traumas that can potentially trigger you in ways that you didn't even know you can be triggered. So you might find yourself being a little bit, I know we're in the North Node energy, it's not necessarily South Node, but you can still feel yourself being a little bit more irritable than usual. You can feel yourself being a little bit more hot-headed than usual. You want, like I said, you want to check to see what areas, but I just think overall collectively, because we're feeling this heat, this Aries energy might make us feel a little bit shooketh a little bit shaken up a little bit. So you just want to make sure that you're taking the time to like physically work out, you know, get your system, I don't even want to refer to our bodies as a system. Get your body, get your vessel, get your temple together, right? You want to make sure that you're physically working out, you know, taking the time. If you're not physically doing like a actual workout routine on a day-to-day basis, this is yoga. This is heated yoga, if you will. This is dancing. This is movement work. This is body work. This is energy work, right? Aries also rules the head, you know, and I know we talk about Scorpio to be more psychological than anything, but because Aries rules the actual face and head, I like to think of it as because where it houses the brain, it's a mental structure as well. So if any of y'all have been thinking about maybe, especially with the South Node in Libra, if you've thought about maybe getting counseling, or maybe looking into like some type of mediation where somebody can help you mediate some things and delegate some things, which I'll get to the Libra energy in a minute, maybe take the time out to work out those mental capacities, specifically, which, like I said, wherever is playing out in those houses and things. One second. Ooh, beat me up. Beat juice. So, yes, physical fitness, physical movement and activity will be in order during the North Node in Scorpio, North Node in Aries, and the South Node in Libra. Make sure y'all are moving. I'm telling you, you're going to want to move that body, because if not, all that heated, hot energy is going to get stuck up in that body, child, and you're going to be ripping and going off on people you ain't mean to go off on. And you probably didn't mean to go off on, but you reacted way more than you thought you should. Everybody wants to make Cancer the culprit of the reactive, but let's just be real. Okay? Aries can get there too, okay? It can be a little pouty. It can be a little on the more agitated side of things. So you just want to make sure that you're working those things out. Building the body. If I was a warrior is what I put. If I was a warrior, what would be some of my focal points that I would want to work on? As a spiritual warrior as well, especially with Saturn and Pisces and things, what are some of the things that I would want to build if you were in the position of the warrior? Whether that's your physical body, whether that's your spiritual body, think about some of the things that you would want to be in focus. And also, I just want to say that this Aries energy, when I'm thinking of not only just the warrior, but just the general, the person who calls out the plans during these wars and things like that. Aries can be quite impulsive, okay? Aries can be quite impulsive when it's making its decisions, but there's nothing wrong with jump starting in things and working off that impulsive nature of yours. But I think it's more so of bringing in focus of like, hey, Aries, we need to become the general. We need to become the sergeant and like actually strategize the ways in which we want to move forward, right? You can't play battleship. Well, no, battleship is a little bit. No, we're not going to go there. When you're in war, when you're in a strategic thing, you can't just move all funny and willy-nilly and things like that. Like, you have to have proper plans in place. And I think sometimes we forget that with Arian energy because we think about that impulsive. It says that I had no space, but that's a lie. So I don't know what that was about, but back again. Speaking on an Arian impulsive nature. Now, I say that all to say that plans obviously can get changed at any point in time during war. The things that you think are going to go according to plan won't always go according to plan. So that's where that Arian nature comes in, where you have to sometimes know how to pivot. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to know how to improvise. And I think that, and have the confidence, not only to be able to do it, but have the true confidence to be able to do these things. Now, if we're talking about body parts, Aries rules the sacral chakra and also to the solar plexus as well. So just gaining that sense of like confidence in your body, that confidence in your decision making, the confidence in what you got going on, I think will help you propel into whatever direction that you basically put your best foot forward when you're dealing with this kind of energy with the North Node in Aries. Now, we talk about self-confidence, we talk about motivation, we talk about basically grounding to finish and things like that. But one thing I want y'all to really be careful of, especially in this energy, is burnout. It reminds me a little bit of Gemini in a way, of where it's like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going to the point where it just can't go no more. So you just want to be careful of like, you have all this energy and you have this like vitality and energy to be able to like push forward and press forward and do these things. But, fire doesn't necessarily go all the way out, but it can burn out. And then you have to like sit back, recharge. So you just want to be, I think, being a little bit more careful about the way that you are actually spending this energy, the way that you are maneuvering through this energy of Aries, because like it has a high intensity, but then it also has a very low. So if you could find the balance between the two, you know what I mean, knowing when to preserve your energy and knowing when to go full force with that energy, then find that way, ride that wave type shit. All right, so vitality, getting a lot of sunlight. And I know, granted, the earthly plane that we live in is a little bit questionable right now. The air quality and things are a little bit questionable right now. But if you have the opportunity to get sun, it's crazy that I even have to say these things. If you have the opportunity to get some sun, definitely make sure you get some sun. Also, too, grounding to cool down. So doing meditations. It doesn't necessarily mean that because you're doing like physical workout, physical activities and fitness and moving around and going all around that you can't have the time to like chill and cool off and cool down and things like that, because you're going to need that extra time to do those things, especially as this energy moves through Aries, for sure. The rest of this year, I said, will be a time of Chiron and Aries. I talked about healing those old wounds. Venus and Leo retrograde is definitely going to help us tap back into those inner child wounds, and also just tap back into our inner child energy. You might feel a lot more playful. You might feel a lot more adventurous. You might feel a lot just having this energy to like, not only just, it's not just about getting things done or getting work and things like that, but just, you might find yourself like I said, I don't know why, like this energy of like listening to like old things that you used to listen to, or maybe picking up an instrument that you used to play, or just tapping back into something that you used to have or hold dearly to you in your childhood that really just got you, and it made you feel like comfortable and it made you feel safe, but it also gave you this sense of fun and play. I see us picking up those things back. For example, for me, I was watching this movie called Burlesque, and because it's something that I definitely am like low-key dabbling into, you know, high-key, low-key. But Christina Aguilera was in it. And I used to have this Christina. It was like one of her first albums that she dropped. And I found myself hearing this song. It's a song called Love All Seasons. And as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, man, I remember I used to listen to this song over and over and over again. So I went back and listened to the song. And I just sat there and I damn near cried. Because I was just like, oh my God. Like, I didn't realize how much, like, I used to play that over on my little CD player, bro. I used to play that over and over and over and over again. And it just did something to my spirit. And even when I listen to it now, it still does something to my spirit, even after all these years. So that's what I'm saying. Get back into it. Tap back into it. Now, it says, how can this situation, place, environment help me grow to my fullest potential self? These are the questions that you want to ask yourself as the North Node shifts through Aries. Aries is going to usher that in for you. And I talked about also too entrepreneurship. I just want to leave that before we get into the South Node in Libra. If you have been interested in being an entrepreneur or starting up some type of creative pursuit, or even if you're not necessarily going fully entrepreneur mode, what you'll start to see is that you might want to go solo in whatever, like I said, whatever house this is playing in specifically. You might want to go on some type of solo venture or solo journey as this North Node in Aries transit is transiting through this house. Now, let's move on to North Node in Libra. The motto is I balance. And this also has to do, instead of the I am energy, this has to do with other people. This has to do with your collaborative efforts and things. So this is the energy that we are essentially moving away from, but also finding a better balance in at the same time. So it says, how can I bring into balance my Venusian energy? So you want to see not only where the South Node is playing out, where Libra is in your house, but what actually rules Libra in your house, or what actually rules Venus in your house. You can kind of see what that looks like. And you also, I would even say, look where Taurus is playing out in those houses too, especially since Jupiter is there. So it's going to be a very strong influences to this Venusian energy as we are transiting through these things. Okay, so also Libra rules the kidneys, the lower back, butt, skin, insulin regulations, and the veins. So you just want to be, now if you are specifically a Libra in the 6th house, where the Virgo house is of health and wellness, this can be definitely something that is kind of on key for you. But then you can also take this into any house as well, because it's a particular body part. So if you notice yourself having maybe like back issues or something like that, look to where Libra is and kind of see how maybe that energy kind of plays out within it. Maybe you're overworking yourself at home. Maybe Libra's in the 4th house. Maybe you're overworking yourself at home and now you're having back issues. So the Libra part of you needs to be tended to. So just for example, and things like that. Now, Chiron and Aries will definitely oppose this energy. And also, yeah, Chiron and Aries will oppose this energy anytime, like I said, between July 23rd and December 23rd. So there might be wounded energy in between. Like, I like to say this is like healing like codependency issues and things, to where you might have leaned on other people for like advice, or where you might have leaned on other people for certain things in your life. You're having to more so lean on yourself. So that opposing energy, you might be like at a crossroads of like, do I need to seek outside validation for this specific thing going on in my life, or do I need to rely more on myself? Like, how do I find a healthier balance in between the two? I want to say also too, I put solar plexus and solar sacral chakra region for Libra, but I could be totally wrong about that, because I mean, it's a kidneys, lower back, butt, skin. So it's an overall energy. But like I said, still kind of work with those energies. Venusian energy can also rule sex as well. And so, you know, I think maybe that sacral chakra energy, maybe working on those things and working that out as well. Now, bringing the balance, I put bringing into balance things that might be over access. Also, Jupiter is in Taurus for a year, and that's also another Venusian energy as well. There is, and what I put, and I know some people might disagree, but there is sometimes such thing as too much of a good thing. And the first thing when I was writing this, what came to me was there is too much of a good thing. What I meant, first of all, what I mean to say before I bring up this quote from TLC, don't go chasing waterfalls. What I mean is there's sometimes where you can have an overindulgence or over access of things. That's not to say that you can't have those things. It's just made more so being in a space of like, how can I find the balance between this and that? You know what I'm saying? So it's not overly too much of that thing. So what I got, the example that I got, I don't know if y'all have ever seen, which I was hope, especially the viewers that are watching this channel would have seen the Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls video by TLC. And there is a scene in the video where T-Boss basically is talking about how there's this man who, he basically has like multiple sex partners, and then eventually he ends up dying from a sexually transmitted disease because he was just having all this unprotected sex. And so that's an example of like, just, it's not to say that you can't enjoy these Venusian pleasures. It's just sometimes it can be just an overabundance of those Venusian things, or an overindulgence or over excess of those things that can actually do more harm than good. So just be careful, especially like I said, with the South Node in Libra and also Jupiter in Taurus, of like, all right, and I'm not saying you have to like, you know, wreck yourself of like, is this too much of a good? No, you know when something is too much and when you probably need to pull back. If you have to question, should I pull back? Maybe you need to pull back. If you have to question it. Now, if it's just like, you know, you find, like I said, you find a healthy balance in it, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Keep it pushing, keep it going, do what you do. You feel me? So just keeping that in mind when you are moving through these transits. Now, healing codependency issues. I said Libra wants union with another. So you're going to go from being dependent on someone else, to independence, which is Aries. Now, I did say we're moving away from this energy, but I also at the same time said that we're finding a balance and equilibrium between the two things. Okay? So I just want you to I want y'all to understand that, like, there's nothing wrong with leaning on other people. But I think the idea of, in this time, especially like seeking validation from other people to make your next moves, or being so dependent on somebody else that you can't, or you're not able to like have your own individual sense of self, is going to be crucial in this time. You're going to find that you will struggle hard within this transit if you're depending way too much on other people for your needs, for your wants, for your desires. You'll start to feel like a puppet. Like somebody's like doing the NSYNC. What was that video where they was it bye bye bye? And it was about buying that ass, like controlling the puppet or whatever. I forget which one it was. But you don't want to be in that energy where like somebody is controlling your hand within your, think about it like this. If you was in a movie, right, and you was starring in your own movie, this is Aries. Be the Aries director. This is how I want my movie to look like. This is the scene I want to play. This is the character I want to play. This is the character that I'm embodying. Embody that energy of like you're the main script, the main character energy, whatever you want to call it. Being in that energy versus like having somebody else like, no, that's not to say that Libra plays a side role. I'm not saying that at all. But I think it's more so of being in a space of like, this is my show. This is my script. This is how I want things to go within my show. And this is how things want to go in my script. It would be an energy of South Node and Libra, bringing your script to other people and being like, should I play this character in my role? I don't know. I don't know if I want my character to go on this crazy wild adventure that's literally going to change my life. What do y'all think? And everybody's looking like, well, Libra, what do you want to do? I don't know what I want to do. It can be too indecisive in its decision making and what and how and where it wants to go. So Aries is going to be like, I need you to make a decision. I need you to make it now, and I need us to move forward with it. What are we doing? Versus like maybe the like teeter-totter back and forth and the indecisiveness and things like that. Also too, putting others' needs before your own is another thing. Once again, if we're going back to that script, like the people-pleasing tendencies with the South Node and Libra, child, we are healing the people-pleasing energy, okay? We are not bringing that in. First of all, we're not bringing it forward in July, moving forward, period, point blank. Like when you are in a people-pleasing energy, and I know because I've been there, okay? Healing here. When you are in a people-pleasing energy, you are putting your needs of yourself and what you want to the back burner. And what does that cause? Resentment. You might not say it is like, no, I'm good, but you're not good. You're not good. You think it's best because you're considerate, which is nothing wrong with being considerate of other people. But your needs have to come first during this transit, or I promise you, you are going to feel that resentment energy. You might even feel envious. You might feel these energies that you just don't. It's not to say that you don't need to feel them. It's just you need to understand where they're coming from and why you're feeling those things and why you're choosing to move in the ways in which you move. Okay? And so, Libra is not... But Libra is about not just romantic one-on-one relationships. It's also about business partnerships and people who mirror you, as well as law, justice, courts, artistry, design, beauty, and music. So people might be going through style resets. We're probably going to start talking about, which is interesting because everybody's talking about Barbie right now. I guess it's like a Barbie movie out or something like that. But I'm pretty sure, especially with the South Node moving into Libra, there's going to be a lot of conversation about that because beauty standards. Now, I just want to say this, and I'm going to just keep it at this. Beauty is the eye of the beholder. I don't believe in the beauty standards. I think it's non-existent because I just believe you like what you like. What I might find to be attractive is something completely different from what you find to be attractive. So I don't think that there's a such thing as beauty standard. I think beauty is what you make it. Beauty is what you, and so when it comes to like your inner beauty and who you are and your natural beauty and your natural state, I think it's coming into more acceptance, more love and acceptance into like who you are naturally, wholeheartedly, without all the fuss, right? This also has our, like I said, changes in our perception of the beauty standard, law and policy. We might start to see, which we already have, but you might start to see a lot of laws and policies and things like that. Women's rights specifically, because that's what Libra rules. There might be a lot of different changes and policies around that, which if you've seen The Handmaid's Tale, not projecting that into our future, we will not project that into our futures, okay? That's what we're not gonna do. Okay, we need to think future forward. Okay, let's think more Wakanda when we're thinking about our futures. You don't have to be Wakanda per se, but I'm just saying, let's think a little bit bigger than that. All right, creatives emerging. So you might see a lot of people working on music behind the scene, or working on some type of creative endeavor, because the South Node is in Libra behind the scene. And then when the South Node goes out of Libra and we move into the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, you might see people actually bringing their artistry forward and things, which is exciting. You know, this is going to be an exciting time, especially when this Saturn moves back into Aquarius. I feel like we're going to see a lot of like new artists, even artists that have been around, but finally being able to like get the spotlight that they deserve and being on the platforms and things like that. And this is going to be an energy where you can actually, we're moving from like this money grab kind of industry to like, if I can't feel it, I don't want to hear it. It's giving hip hop in the 90s, and I'm excited for it. All right, now let's get to these rising signs, because I've already talked enough. I'm pretty sure y'all love to hear me flap my jaws, but let's get into the rising signs. So Aries rising, this will be going through your first house and Libra and the South Node in your seventh house. And I'm going to go through these quickly. I'm probably going to do another video to like kind of go in these in depth that will be available on the website. Not really sure yet. Let me know if that's something that y'all would want, or are y'all okay with just the short descriptions, but here we go. So Aries rising, this is about self-transformation, because this is happening in your first house. So there's going to be a deep-seated self-transformation that's going to be happening in this next year and a half for you, that your outlook on life, your body even might start to shift. The things in which in ways you take care and care for your body might start to shift. You might find yourself working out more. You might find yourself being more physically active a lot more, and things like that when Aries transits through your first house. You might start even to ask yourself questions like, who am I now versus who I was then, you know, and really defining that concretely for yourself, especially as Chiron moves through Aries until December 23rd of the end of this year. Exploring, really tapping back into that inner child wound and the warrior in you. Your warrior spirit might start to really emerge out of you. I'm even thinking of Lilith energy, because Lilith reminds me of Aries for sure. So you might be tapping back into that divine feminine kind of energy that's like, this is me, it's unruly, this is who I am, I cannot be controlled, this is me, you know. And so because your first house, I always tell people this, when you start to change on the outside, the type of people and friends and things like that you associate with, they also can do a shift as well. So this is going to be happening. Your South Node is going to be transiting your seventh house. So I put relationships, partnerships under construction. So there might be people that start to, you know, maybe relationships that can no longer stand, kind of like move out of your life. You might have new relationships coming in that better suit the person that you are now. Releasing codependency in relationships. So you might find this energy of like you wanting to spend time with everybody all the time, wanting to spend time. You might not have a second alone with this Libra before this Libra energy goes into Aries. And so, or before this Aries, the South Node goes into Libra, you might find yourself wanting to actually have more solo time alone. You might even start taking like trips by yourself, or just getting more of an energy by yourself, because even though Aries is very social, it's a very solo sign. It's the one, it's the I am. It can go on the solo journeys alone and be completely fine. So releasing attachments and codependencies and things like that for sure. Also, when the South Node goes into Libra, it goes back into like spiritual, because Saturn is still in Pisces. So you might be even breaking like spiritual contracts with people, like actual spiritual bonding contracts with people. Maybe you had a karmic past with people or friendship groups and things like that in your life. Like I said, this is romantic relationships, business partnerships, and mirroring people that mirror you. So you might find yourself being like, you know what, this particular thing has served its purpose. Now it's time for me to move forward. Period, point blank. So we gonna see about it. Next, Taurus rising. So this is going to be happening for you in your 12th house, and then Libra will be transiting your 6th house. So what you could see here, with Aries in the 12th house is maybe going on a spiritual journey, an inward spiritual journey. You might find yourself tapping back into a lot of past old wounds that need to come up, because 12th house is the Pisces house, it's a conscious house, it's the Neptunian house. So you might see yourself just going back over like old things that you maybe buried in your subconscious. And Aries is like, yeah, no, we can't hide this anymore. I want to clear this house up. I'm gonna set it on fire. So I'm gonna bring up every single thing that you might have been like kind of hiding. Scorpio's kind of hidden it in the corner and things like that. And Aries is gonna be like, let me blaze the path now. Let me trailblaze the path through your mental and through your mind and through your past, so we can actually bring it up, so we can actually clear it. So you might find yourself going on the Fool's journey subconsciously as well, trusting that inner voice, connecting to your spiritual center, and even spiritually going back home. Now 12th house is ending, so this can be a physical home. I'm not trying to say anybody's dying out here, but you could actually have an ancestor or somebody who either is visiting you, or somebody who might be passing on or passing along and things like that. For sure, maybe somebody who's taken like a leadership role in your family or something like that. There could be somebody who's passing on. Specifically, that's not to put anything, like I said, y'all, personal charts, personal birth charts for that specifically. Don't take my word for it. I'm just saying it could be a physical ending, and or just the way maybe you've seen things and like your perspective and things like that as well. Also, because it rolls ahead, this is like pushing your mental limits. You just want to be careful of not to like push too hard. You want to be gentle. I know it's easier said than done with Aries in the 12th house, but please don't push too hard. Take your time when you're exploring like these different mental capacities and things like that within your mind. It can be a lot, okay? So just take the time to really explore. Now, with Libra in the 6th house, you could find yourself wanting to go seek counseling, or maybe go see a counselor and things like that. You could actually be moving away from like some type of work, because 6th house is the Virgo house of work, health and wellness, your daily routine. So you can be moving away from like maybe like a collaborative project or something like that you were working on with somebody. Maybe you and a partner had like a shared business together, and maybe y'all are ending that specific business or ending that specific contract with each other, and you're moving on to other things. There can also be some type of separation as well, whether that's a divorce or whether that's like a physical separation as well, because Libra is like a union between two people. So there can be some like maybe parting ways in some type of way. Wanting to maybe bring your health into balance if it's not already in balance, and maybe even bring in a better balance in like your day-to-day active routines and things. Now, for Gemini rising, this is going to be activating your 11th house where Aries will be, and your 5th house where Libra will be. You could actually find yourself moving away from a job. You could find yourself, or like some type of career that you've been into for a while, wanting to take on more like a leadership role within your position or things like that, or maybe looking like long-term, because it's the Aquarius house of like long-term goals, hopes, wishes, group organizations and associations that you belong to. You could find yourself either taking a leadership role within this particular position, or you can find yourself moving away from the group and just wanting to take a solo ride and journey into your own particular endeavors and things like that. Most definitely. Also leaning on to the Libra energy, leaning on to there might be, especially with Chiron and Aries, there might be some resolving that you have to do when it comes to like collaborative projects. You might find yourself being a little bit more irritable and hot-headed in situations. So you want to lean on that Libra energy to like resolve conflicts in a peaceful, harmonious way. That's not to say that you have to give up all your rights. That's not to say that you have to give up your sense of self within these groups, but being firm, but not being like overly power overbearing in these groups and situations. So just taking heed in that. Now, Libra in the 5th house is releasing codependency in romantic relationships. A lot of codependent romantic relationships for the sake of wanting to just be with someone in a partnership, in relationship, releasing those things, releasing attachments to specific relationships, or maybe for some of y'all that might have children and things like that, maybe they're going off to like do some other studies, or maybe they're going off into the world and, you know, taking their own journey or wherever it is that they're going. And so maybe you're releasing, because the 5th house is the Leo house, it rules children as well. So maybe their kids are maybe moving away or things like that. If you do have kids, this is also as pets as well. So you might either be, I see this as maybe like some people actually getting a pet in this time, especially to help with like some maybe emotional things that you might be going through. So maybe instead of attaching to another person, you're like, okay, well, let me just get like a pet or something like that. And that's like helps you still want to like be and take care of that particular pet. You can also find yourself, because Libra is a very creative sign, and this is also the creative house, the 5th house. You might see yourself like changing up your fashion, changing up your style, getting into some form of artistry that you've been wanting to get into, maybe like poetry or music, or you might find yourself making clothes or designing and things like that as well. Finding balance in romantic relationships, and I said seeding creative projects, so new creative projects that might find themselves dropping within the next year and a half after you're done working with them. Okay, on to Cancer rising, Aries in the 10th house, Libra in the 4th house. The 10th house is the Capricorn house of career, long-term goals, your public, persona and things like that. You might find yourself changing careers during this time with this North Node in Aries transiting your 10th house. Chiron there as well. There might be some wounds in the workplace. I feel like this has to do with maybe with like recognition, or maybe like, maybe wanting to be recognized to be in a leadership position or a leadership role, or maybe people not seeing like your value and worth within this particular role, and then maybe wanting to take like a couple steps forward to like move along into something different, into something new. Entrepreneurship is another thing, like I said, whether that's you actually taking on an entrepreneur endeavor or wanting to be more in a solo position within the group. So you still have a team of people, but you're also able to do your thing. So maybe instead of doing like working for a particular company, you're like, actually, instead of working for a particular company, I actually want to do contractual work for this company. So like I'm a part of this company, but I'm actually a contractor within this company. So I can kind of make my own rules, set my own limits, set my own boundaries, things like that. I put become a strategist instead of impulsiveness. Okay, you're going to want to charge forward in these new endeavors and things. That's not to say that you can't do those things. It's just, you might want to take some time to really scale out what it is that you want to do. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with being impulsive, but when you're finding yourself fleeing in way too many directions, it can easily cause burnout. So I think more so it's looking at the things that brings you the most passion, the most fire. That's not to say that you can't have multiple things that bring you passion and fire and desire and all those good things, but it's just making sure that you have more so of like, okay, if I do dive into these things, if I do dive in this particular or this career focus or whatever the case may be, I'm a little hot. If I do dive in this particular area or focus in my life, what exactly, what I'm hearing streams, like what streams can I actually flow into and dive into in this particularly. Now, the 4th house in Libra, you can find yourself maybe moving away from a home with the South Node in Libra here. Finding balance in your career and home life is another thing that I put. Changing your home area to fit maybe like your new work life or your new workspace and things like that. So, you might have, maybe you starting like a work from home job, or you're starting, like I said, that entrepreneur thing. Maybe you used to bring work home and you used to work on your work in your actual bedroom, but maybe you're like, you know what, I need to create a space where I can actually work that's separate from the place that I'm actually resting. So now I need to make a new space. Maybe you find yourself getting some new materials, new desk, new lights and things. I'm not a Cancer rising, but I'm just saying maybe you find yourself getting new things to like set up your actual workspace that's separate from your bedroom space. Or you could find yourself even just changing up the things in your home. Maybe you've had like this decor that you just were like, you know what, I've been wanting to change this decor up, but now I'm actually going to finally do it. So you could find yourself doing that. Work demands, decompressing, legal issues around the home. So if you have any like legal contracts around your home space and things like that, I would definitely say maybe just get an extra look at the legal contracts that you're signing. If you are changing homes or if you're renewing a lease or something of that sort, just make sure you kind of look into the fine print, because there could be some things there that you might need to like address before you actually sign on the dotted line. Now, Leo rising, we have the 9th house and the 3rd house activated for you. So Aries in the 9th house, this is the bigger picture energy, right? You might find yourself diving deeper into maybe something that you've wanted to learn or something that you've wanted to like study or things like that. So you might be diving in, because Aries goes ahead, so you might be diving in head first. Okay, no, didn't get it. You might be finding yourself diving head first into this knowledge and wanting to kind of explore a little bit deeper, and you might have a lot of fire, passion, and vigor towards whatever it is that you want to learn about and things, and also share as well too. You could see yourself seeking mental counsel as well. Maybe, like I said, on a new course, or you might find yourself wanting to go or seek counseling as well. Or you might want to become a counselor. That could be for some of those of y'all out there and things like that. You could find yourself taking like distance trips, long distance travel to different places or different countries that you've never been to, that kind of fit that Aryan mold. A lot of fast-paced, high-paced things going on here and there, a lot of dancing, music, fire, things like that, and also a little water to cool it down. But you could find yourself kind of dabbling into that as well. The 3rd house with Libra there, communication from relatives. So you might find communication from people or relatives, cousin, uncles, brothers, whatever, sisters that you haven't heard from in a long time. You could find them reaching out to you and things like that. Legal issues involving these sisters, or legal issues involving the brothers or relatives and things like that also as well. You could find yourself dabbling into maybe some contracts and things that come up in the family dynamic. Past partnerships and lovers. It's not a Mercury retrograde, baby girl, but it might feel like a Mercury retrograde with the South Node traveling through with relationships through Libra here. Creative, maybe you have like a creative pursuit or an endeavor that you never really solely focused on, but maybe it's coming to pass again, and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to pass up on this opportunity. Now it's time for me to dive a little deep in this. Also, you can find yourself going through a makeover with Libra in the South Node as well. Now, when Venus is in Leo in the retrograde, you won't probably want to make too many changes until October. But if you've been thinking about maybe doing some type of like makeover reset or something like that, I do think with the South Node in Libra, it'd be a good time to kind of like, how do I want to reinvent myself type thing. Now, Virgo rising, this is going to be happening for you in your 8th house, and this is going to be playing into your 2nd house where Libra will be. Now, this is getting connected with intimacy and exploring as well your deep intimacy. There might be some intimacy issues or wanting to connect deeper into your intimate parts of yourself. You might find yourself exploring those things. You might find yourself, exploring I put sex for pleasure, because Aries here can be hot and heated and things like that, but the fire only lasts for so long. Like it's there, but then it kind of goes away with the quickness. So you might find yourself wanting to explore deeper ways of like I said, intimacy and sex. And I just feel like a lot of deep sacral chakra exploration energy here, for sure. Like using your sex as a creative tool. Not to say that you aren't going to be having any, but using it more so as like a creative tool where you can actually explore deeper into your own intimacy and what that looks like for you as well. And moving away from like controlling aspects, because that Martian energy is there, like using sexism means to control or things like that and stuff. So definitely diving into your connections there. The 8th house also rules the Scorpio house. Is also like taxes, debts, and things. So those things could also be coming to pass as well. And then the Libra in the 2nd house, it says, where does my value stem from? Is my value seated in Venusian things like money, relationships, other people, things? And then finding balance in the 8th house, which is self-power. So this Libra energy can be very indecisive about its value and its worth, and it can go back and forth, but it's also cardinal air. So this Venusian energy can use sex and use these Venusian things in relationships as a means to, it can be sometimes a little bit more transactional than it is an actual deep-seated energy of connection. So I think exploring that more so in a deeper level and what that looks like for you. And it's going to want you to become, like I said, very clear. I know it's easier said than done, but it's going to want you to become very easy, or not easy, but more clearly defined of what that looks like for you. Aries is going to be begging the question here. Now, Libra rising in the 7th house. Oh, did I not? Yeah. Libra rising in the 7th house and Aries in the 1st. Hold on one second. Yeah, so for the Libra risings, I want to go back to like codependency here, because the South Node transiting that house, particularly for you. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on one second. Yeah, 7th. Yeah, so Aries is going to be transiting the 7th house for you, Libra rising. And your 1st house will be impacted by Libra. I think because it's in reversal, a lot of times what happens is you might find yourself having to, kind of like Aries rising, but like I said, it's kind of switched. You might find yourself having to be an individual, more of an individual within your relationships. So finding a healthy balance between actually having healthy and fruitful relationships with people, but also being an individual within those relationships. So you might find a lot of times you might merge when you are in groups of people in relationships, whether that's romantic, platonic, friendships, and things like that. And this is like an odd to be like, you know what? Actually, I can still be my own self within these relationships and partnerships and things like that I'm building with other people. And I know it's a far stretch, especially being a Libra rising, but I think it'll be a healthy stretch once you start to get a better understanding and a deeper understanding of who you are intrinsically, especially with the South Node transiting through your 1st house. Now, Scorpio rising. Aries is going to be transiting your 6th house, and Libra is going to be transiting your 12th house. Now, this is really big on health and wellness for the Aries, the Scorpio risings out there. Your mental health is going to be impacted. Your physical health is going to be impacted if it's not something that you are readily focusing on a day-to-day basis, because Aries is what you're doing on a day-to-day. This is your work life. This is your health and wellness. Your spiritual, emotional energy. This is you actually focusing on yourself, focusing on your needs, focusing on your desires in the sense of like, what is it that I want to be doing every day physically, and working on physically to very much so help and heal my energy, or my my overall vitality energy that I'm using on a day-to-day basis. Having, you know, strong boundaries with others, taking time to be by yourself, taking time for yourself, to make time for yourself so you can have the time to like really work through some mental and health and wellness capacities and stuff as well. Yeah, it's going to be really big for you. Movement and physical, I wanted to say physical communication, but like just physically moving your body and movement and things like that is going to be really, really big for you. And taking really, really good care of your body. The foods that you eat, the content and things like that you're taking in on a day-to-day basis, even your actual surroundings as well, is going to be very big for you. Libra in the 12th house is moving or releasing past life of like dependency issues, releasing and finding the balance between the subconscious mind, exploring repressed emotions, spiritual contracts that are either concluding or coming into your life, and dream work for also healing as well is another thing that I put here specifically for Scorpio rising. Heavy on releasing past life dependency issues with South Node and Libra moving through there. Heavy on that. We'll get into, like I said, I want to get into deeper, like I said, let me know if that's something that y'all really do want to explore a little bit deeper into these, and I can do like a separate video for it, going a little bit more in depth. Sag rising, 5th house Aries, 11th house Libra. So I feel like this can be more so like self-focused in romance, and I don't necessarily think that this has to necessarily do too much with other people. I feel like there's a self-focus with this energy with the Sag risings. Like, what is like some of the things that you do romantically for yourself? Like, what are some of the things that you do to explore yourself romantically in a space that is suitable for you? I think that's something that's going to be setting boundaries with others as well is going to be another thing for you as well. Exploring like different passion and creative projects as well with the North Node moving through the 5th house as well. It can be a very playful time with the North Node moving through your 5th house. You just want to be aware of impulsiveness when it comes to like your romantic relationships. Like I just see somebody that's like maybe moving from one thing to the next, moving to this thing to the next. And it's just like this Aryan energy, like I said, is that solo journey that you're taking with yourself. So I think how they say romanticizing your life, romanticizing your world, being the actor in your own script, I think is going to be really prominent for the Aries risings out there, or the Sag risings out there. Now Libra going through that 11th house, moving away from certain group dynamics, changing group association and contracts, exploring artistic practices and goals, partnerships that are being worked on behind the scenes is something that can be very big for this South Node of Libra moving through your 11th house. Now, Capricorn rising, you have Aries moving through your 4th house, and then Libra moving through your 10th house. So you could find yourself maybe changing homes, maybe going to a place that's a little bit more hotter, that's a little bit more suitable for your Aryan energy. You definitely might want to take a look at your astro. If you're thinking about moving, maybe taking a look at your astro, how do you say, your astrocartography, your astro chart, your location-based chart. You can find yourself working from home as well. Like I said, that entrepreneurial energy of Aries. So you might take on like an online job from home, or start your own business also too from home. You can basically be spending a lot more time solo at home with this Aryan energy for sure. You might just find yourself wanting to be more so in your own space. Now Libra in the 10th house, South Node with Capricorn rising, moving away from a business partnership or changing terms on the contract, changing jobs or position, mediation, laws, courts, There might be a divorce or a separation. This doesn't necessarily have to be a marriage, but it could be a marriage separation as well in this particular contract, or changing the terms in this particular contract. Specifically, this could have been a business partnership that maybe is going through some type of kind of seemingly like a divorce or some things like that. Or maybe you had a partner that you did business with, then y'all are going y'all separate ways and things. So, or maybe you could just be, you know, like I said, changing a different job position that's more suitable or fits, you know, that creative essence of the Libra energy that you embody. Or you can be maybe going into like a law or policy kind of focus and things. Or maybe you could find yourself doing like activist work and things like that, especially with Libra in the 10th house. Or nonprofits and things as well. Now, Aquarius rising, you'll have Aries in the 3rd house and you'll have Libra in the 9th house. So short-term distance travel within the neighborhood, or maybe to another state with Aries in the 3rd. Maybe moving to another neighborhood, or visiting often another neighborhood, or just kind of working your way around the neighborhood. A shift in the communication. You might find yourself speaking a lot more boldly on maybe particular platforms if you're a content creator, or create, you know, certain things online, or just within your group dynamics, family dynamics, relatives, you know, you might find yourself a little bit more bolder in a sense, and maybe having a little bit more firmer boundaries there. And learning how, or maybe learning like a new skill that you're really excited and passionate about. Libra in the 9th house for Aries rising, conflicting beliefs. Finding a balance, a firm ground, and like maybe you have a belief here and you have a belief there, and you're like, I don't really know which one I really feel it like resonates with me. And this like Aries is going to want you to find a better footing in like where you stand in that. Putting studies to the side, and maybe going more in depth with like your mental capacities, finding more harmony in your mental capacities as well, or some type of knowledge or things like that that you've wanted to learn. Maybe going a little bit more, studying a little bit more deeper. And then you might even find yourself having a lot of, if you are taking or wanting to take a distance travel to another place or another country, you might find a couple delays within that travel as well. Or maybe like the plan is like back and forth, like you don't know if you're gonna go, or maybe the group is like, I don't know if we're gonna go, or I don't know if we're gonna, so it might just be a lot of back and forth. Now, last but never least, Pisces rising, we have the Aries is transiting through the 2nd house, and Libra will be transiting through the 8th house. So self-reliance, you know, depending on yourself to really go after the things that you want and the things that you want to create, removing like limiting beliefs that actually put you in better positions to basically be able to do the things that you actually want to do, and not the things that you feel like you have to do. Independence and gains, material gains, solo journey, the Fool, and a new canvas. So it could just feel like you're on a new trajectory, especially in terms of like your finances, in terms of like your material abundance. There could just be new chapters and new beginnings in that, and it could feel very different than the energy that you were in the past. The 8th house in Libra is moving away from codependency or having to rely on other people, exploring intimacy in a new way, gaining independence in reliance on oneself, taxes, other people's money, and inheritance is also something that I put here. 8th house also rules inheritance, so you might find yourself diving or being approached about a particular inheritance that maybe you gained, and that can be all types of inheritance, or whatever comes to you, that's up for you to decide. But you're just moving into this new sense of self. Chiron is going to help you heal your value wounds. It's going to help you heal like that self-confidence and things like that that you need to embody to make the decisions to like really push you forward in the world in the ways and that you want to. Is going to help you better define like clear goals, clear values, the trajectory that you want to move in life, and it's going to feel good, Pisces. It's going to feel really, really good. It might feel awkward at first, but I promise you, once you get into the groove of things, it's going to feel amazing. So that is what I have for the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. I'm really excited for this transit. Collectively, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of changes just globally and worldwide. I think this is going to be a lot of changes. I'm going to leave it at this because it's already a long video anyway, but we're definitely going to get more deeper into and talking a little bit more about what this transit is just going to look like collectively, seated as we move forward. But I hope y'all have enjoyed. It feels so good to be back. I'm going to be dropping the Cancer New Moon video soon as well. So what do I used to say? Oh, a rainy storm, checking in, checking out. I'm going to see y'all.